everyone, and welcome to this week's edition of the Comic Shop Adventures, my weekly excursion where I leave the homestead here at Athletic Geek HQ and search my bounty of comics, graphic novels, action figures, collectibles, and all things in between. First things first, time to talk about what stood out from last week's bounty. Justice League was the book of the week, bar none. Really cool how they're, the reformed Starro Jarro was helping them out, and then with what can't really get into too much of the details, but with everything that happened and how it's like everything's kind of coming full circle in the Justice League, because Starro was the first villain that the Justice League ever fought way back in the Silver Age, and with how they're using Starro to kind of kickstart this year of the villains ruling, to me is very, very interesting, and it's respect for the characters, but it's respect done in a way that makes sense and it's tasteful. It's not just we respect the characters and we're gonna screw with shit. It's we respect the characters and we're gonna use that to tell a good story. And so far I like it. Savage Avengers was a good book. It was just I'm just digging this, the badass characters of Marvel all kind of coming together. I like the idea behind it, and it's really cool, and I like what they're doing with the book so far. And Batman Last Night on Earth was also really, really awesome. Really enjoyed it, and yeah, can't really go wrong with Scott Snyder and Greg Capullo together. So yeah, those were my top choices of last week, and I'll give an honorable mention to the Green Lantern. While it wasn't as good as those other three books, it was a fun book, and the storyline they're going with all these different Green Lanterns, including some callbacks to these other like Elseworld stories with Green Lanterns. I appreciate that. It's still, I hate to say it, even though it has been a good series, it's not been what I thought it was going to be from Morrison writing Green Lantern, but it's still been okay, and what they're going with now, I appreciated, and I enjoyed it, even though it was not nearly as good as the other three books. But yeah, that is pretty much it. I will see you when I get back here to the homestead with this week's bounty. Everyone, I am back here at the homestead, here at Athletic Geek HQ. Got a moderately sized bounty today, so we'll just get right on to it. The first book is Powers of X, number 2, and I gotta be honest, I really hope this series picks up. I'm kind of roped into, I guess, what their intention would be with event books. I'm reading it because I feel I have to, not because it's gripping me in. I feel like I need to read this because, as an X-Men fan, I will be lost if I don't. And yeah, but like I don't get it. I don't really like it. I'm hoping it picks up. I'm hoping that I can not feel as though it's a chore to read both of these concurrent X-Men event books going on right now. One coming out every week. If it improves, I'll give it props. But all the ones that have come out before this have not really impressed me at all. But they're getting $5 a week from me, Marvel is, to print this, because they've wrote me in as an X-Men fan, with an obligation to read this if I want to continue to read the X-Men going forward. So I guess job well done, Marvel, at least on the business side of things. Yeah, but Powers of X, number 2. From there, we go to a book, an event book that is kind of intriguing me just a little bit more. It is Event Leviathan number 3. It's been a good book so far. I'm enjoying. He's still not the best and hasn't quite found the voice for everything yet. But I'm enjoying seeing Bendis with a different take on other DC heroes other than just Superman right now. He's starting to kind of get a better. Every writer can put their own spin on a character and give that character a certain voice. In the Superman books, when Bendis was writing some of the other characters, I felt like he didn't quite understand that character. With this, though, I feel like he's immersed himself more with the DC characters to where he's still giving the characters, his take on them and his spin on them, but he's starting to kind of warm up to what those characters are. If that's, I really hope I'm being clear with that. So while it is still overall, this spun out of the pages of Superman comics, he's still getting to kind of write more of other superheroes in the DC universe, which is nice. It's something that I'm glad he's able to do, because that's something I was really intrigued with whenever I found out he was jumping ship to DC. But yep, Leviathan, number 3. And from there we go to Batman Detective Comics, number 1009. Peter Tomasi kicking ass and taking names with this book, and the Mr. Freeze story arc begins here. Definitely hoping it's better than the Tom King one that occurred last year. But he's been killing it with this book, and time for a good Mr. Freeze story arc would be really awesome, especially with this Year the Villain aura hanging over the DC universe. And yeah, really looking forward to reading this. This has become one of my favorite books in my bounty every week, or whenever it comes out, I should say. And yeah, very, very excited to see Mr. Tomasi with his take on Victor Freeze. Detective Comics, number 1009. And I guess it's just a cold front, if you will, going through the entire DC universe. We have The Flash, number 76, and it's a Captain Cold story arc beginning. Yeah, you've heard me rave about The Flash. You've heard me rave about how it's the best. I still think it's the best kept secret in comic books, most underrated book in comics right now. Joshua Williamson is an awesome writer, and with the Year of the Villain, let's see how the Year of the Villain encompasses the Flash's world, I should say, and see what's gotten into Captain Cold. The Flash, number 76. And from there we go to the final item from the pull list part of my bounty. I still have a few more items. So we have Hawkman. Sorry, Hawkman. It was a long adventure. I apologize. We have Hawkman number 15, and he kind of, much like Aquaman, he gets misconstrued as worthless when he's actually a pretty cool character. But that's besides the point. This book has staved off the chopping block, and it looks like the Living Shadow is the new villain for Hawkman in the Year of the Villains, and we'll see what happens. With this, it's still not one of my favorite books on my bounty and on my pull list, but when it was on the verge of getting cut, it impressed me. So, job well done there. Yeah, Hawkman number 15. And that is it for the pull list portion, as I said, but we have a few other books that I was able to pick up. First thing I got was, I found this cool old Green Lantern book. It's Green Lantern Volume 1, number 31. I found this in the one of the long boxes, and it's a old Green Lantern title that I don't have, and I think the cover looks really, really cool on it. The Power Rings for sale. It's just... it's not something that it would really fly in today's world, but I like charming Silver Age books like this, and I like adding them to my collection. So I found this and found it at a good price, and thought, hey, might as well pick one up and add a little something different to the adventure. With no new real collectibles coming out for the foreseeable future. Get an old Silver Age book, and hey, just pretty cool, and it makes me smile, and at the end of the day, comics are supposed to be a little fun, and this book looks like it was pretty fun back in the day. So yeah, Green Lantern Volume 1, number 31. And the other book I picked up was I remember I kind of been a little harsh on Grant Morrison, but he is still one of my favorite writers, and this was the series where I became a Grant Morrison fan, and that was here with JLA, This is number 16. I found this also in just the long box at the comic shop, and again, I really like that cover, and this was kind of when, the culmination of him putting his league together. It took him, it took him about a year to get everybody that he wanted in that book in the book, but he told such a great stories throughout this whole entire run, and this was just a classic cover where he could get everybody, everybody together, and it was just, I've never actually owned this copy. I've just read this through trades, but I always, whenever I'd read the trade and I'd get to this cover, I'm like, damn, that's awesome. And it was, it was still a fun chapter and a great part of the story of probably the greatest Justice League arc ever was just everything that he wrote. Everything that he did was the best. I'm not taking anything away from Scott Snyder or Jeff Johns or Mark Waid, who have had all had subsequently great runs on Justice League books, but Morrison's still the standard by which they're all, judged by. And yeah, cool to add another piece of one of my all-time favorite runs to my collection. JLA by Morrison, number 16. And that is it for another very exhausting comic shop adventure. I apologize for the little flub there. It was a long one and a rough one this week, but we made it here, and I hope you guys enjoyed it. And I really hope you guys had fun on your local trip, or your trip to your local comic shop. Like I said, it was a long one. Let me know what you picked up at your local comic shop in the comments section below. If you enjoyed this video, despite all my flubs and the exhaustion that came with it, please give it a like, please give it a share. Please subscribe for more content, not just from the world of comic books, from the world of gaming, pro wrestling, and all things geek culture. Please go like my Facebook page at facebook.com/athleticgeek89. There you'll find every Thursday my collection comic of the week that is exclusive to my Facebook page. One of these days I won't be so tired at the end of the adventure and I'll be a little bit better. But other than that, I'm out. Y'all be cool. Later.